Dead Chow Duo Podcast, episode number 81. Alexander, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Andy. How are you?
I'm just chilling. That's all you can do these trying times.
In these uncertain times. Every email starts off with that. Every commercial starts off with that. Grubhub wants you to order delivery food, and then they take like 60% from the restaurant because they're evil. So, yeah, that's life now. It's slowly. I don't know about you, Andy. Figured this would be a good segue before we get into the typical format, but are things kind of returning to normal in your area?
Yeah, Kentucky reopens Friday.
Okay. Because they're kind of returning
now
to
and
normal
June 1st, everything's open.
Yeah, things are kind of...
my job. I won't say when we open because I'm messing with my mom and I won't tell her, but...
Oh, okay.
We don't open between now and June 1st.
You know, I might get a little heat for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just have to point it out. We did all of this in my county, in my state, the state of Florida, which was, I believe, in the top 5 states as far as, like, confirmed cases. Less than 1 per 1,000 by the time we reopened. So we did all of this for 1 in over 1,000 people actually confirmed to have this thing. So I'm just saying the conspiracy hat is on for me. This might all be like some kind of weird conspiracy to rig an election year, because it happens right before all these Congress people, congressmen, congresswomen, our president, they all go to election in November. And mysteriously, there's this virus going on, and, it's less than 1 per 1,000 people, and oh man, the economy is tanked, which most of the people who got elected in 2016, 2018, they ran on fixing the economy, which it did. Anyway, I'm going to stop
Jared
with my...
Monroe for Congress.
I would...
Any highlights this week?
So you know what? I would vote for Jared, and here's why.
That's his Twitter name.
Well, I would vote for him, though, because he's balanced, and he understands that it's all about, Americans having, good jobs and civil liberties at the same time, and, a very centrist point of view, a realistic point of view. Anyway, moving into regular segment here.
My highlight of the week.
Oh, highlight of the week.
I passed 100,000 gamer score.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I'm at 109,000 now.
Well, congrats. It is a big accomplishment. It feels good when you have that happen. Yeah. So
also, I made a video, so...
I did see that. You made a video on a re-review of They Live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty bad. Go check it out.
No, it was actually really good. I would encourage you guys to check it out. Anyway, it's a good segue into regular feature here on the show. What have you been playing? What have you been watching this week, Andy?
I don't know what that noise is. I don't know if you can hear it, but
I don't know what that is either.
I watched Battlefield Earth. That's it. What are you? I had to. What are you laughing at? It's not going to be like Thanksgiving where I skip half the ending.
Well, you're still learning to spell your name.
You got mad for me skipping the ending of that movie, but you still haven't seen The Lighthouse, so
I was not on that episode.
Sphinx has seen more film club picks than you.
No. Well,
Yeah, Sphinx has seen every single one. You haven't seen The Lighthouse.
Technically he has, I guess. Yeah.
How does it make you feel? I mean, maybe Sphinx will be on the podcast.
Okay. Well, how about this? I could use a week off. So, Sphinx, if you want to come on the podcast next week for 82, hit me up in the DMs and I'll get you on here.
Well, Sphinx, Jared, and Drake. No me or you. Just them three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just take over. So, anything else you watched this week?
No, that's it.
No, come on, man.
Yeah, that's literally it.
Okay, what do you play?
Halo Legendary No Asso.
Oh, okay.
Still. Halo 1, I beat it. Halo 2, we're almost done. Halo 1 sucks. Awful game.
No!
Halo 1 sucks.
No, come on, man.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make a video on it, though. On all the Halos.
It's not that bad. It's not bad.
I think I'm gonna rank all the Halos. We'll see. We've been watching / playing.
So, still binge watching Big Bang Theory, Battlefield Earth, obviously, and watched, the regular stuff on the DVR, Shark Tank and The Prophet,
Rick and Morty.
Been keeping up with that. I usually watch Rick and Morty on Mondays instead of Sunday because my wife is usually asleep by 11:30, which Adult Swim would maybe push that back a little bit, but I get why they do it. Tradition. Rick and Morty usually comes on a little bit later in the lineup, but nevertheless, I've been watching that. It's been really good. I've enjoyed Rick and Morty thus far. And then did watch Fast and the Furious 6, and it did not age as well as I thought it would, but it was still pretty enjoyable. And I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else I watched this week. I'm sure, as always, I'm probably forgetting something. And then as far as playing this week, World of Warcraft, Animal Crossing, and a little bit of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, but not much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
There's a video game reviewer I like that crapped on that game.
Yeah, of course.
He was trending on Twitter. Donkey is over party.
Yeah, everybody likes to take their shots at that remake, but it's selling really well. A lot of people that were criticizing it, saying, "Hey, they're lying. It could they could fit the whole thing on one disc." It's a 2 Blu-ray disc game. It takes up over 80 gigs in its current form. I want to say it takes about 1/3 of the total game in the first, I guess, release, if you will. So, I'm not going to be the guy who's critical of it. I think it's really good, and I think they did a great job of modernizing a game that came out in 96, 97. Somebody could keep me honest here, but let's just say it was 97. That's 23 years ago. That's a long time for a game to come out and then be re-released. So, good on them. Well, anyway, moving on to listener questions this week, Andy. We have a lot of them. So, yeah, we do. First one comes from Ruben Jim, a.k.a. Cuban Slim, on Twitter. He asks, when theaters reopen, will you be there? Why or why not?
Yes, I work there.
Yeah. that's kind of what I thought at first. But then Andy says, if not right away, when? Thoughts on how all of that will proceed and function when that time comes. Andy, as someone who works in the theater industry, like, how do you feel about it? Do you think it'll be like, we reopen in like, the gates go wide open, or is it like...
All I know is we're opening
phases?
next day. We're hiring. There used to be 50 employees. Now there's 15.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I don't have a job, but I would assume I would get rehired.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's all I know. And we're starting off with apparently they're playing a bunch of classic movies. And by saying classic movies, it's probably gonna be like in game. And hopefully Sonic, all 12 theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sonic, and this is my story. You're probably wondering how I got here. I'm going to give a bunch of exposition at the beginning of the movie to annoy Andy.
The pacing in the first 5 minutes is, like, ridiculous. But...
I know. You made that clear. Yeah, so, to answer Bobby's question, I feel like my answer is way more boring. I wasn't really a movie theater guy before all of this, so I probably won't be in movie theaters when they reopen. And the reason for that is I generally prefer to wait for things to hit home release unless it's something that I really, really want to see. So, to give you perspective, the last 4 movies that I saw in theaters were Sonic, Detective Pikachu, Avengers Endgame, just because I didn't want it spoiled, and then the last Fantastic Beasts movie. So I want to say that takes place over about 2 years. So I'm not very frequently in a movie theater to begin with, but I do think that they'll reopen in phases. That would be my best guess, is that you'll see movie theaters reopen and they'll be like, well, we'll sell tickets to 25% capacity or 50% capacity or 75% capacity. 33, yeah. Like, you name it. I don't know what the numbers will be, but I think
restaurants are doing here 33%.
So here in Florida, they're doing 25 for restaurants, and then phase 3, I think, is where they'll move up to 50.
Ooh, my bad.
So that's my thought, Bobby. But I'm not gonna be in the theaters because I generally wait for home release.
Yeah,
but
I'm obsessed with 1999, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And no offense to people who go to movie theaters, it gets expensive quick, especially when you have a wife, and you got to pay for 2 tickets now, and
can't say the same, but
yeah. And then you get a popcorn and a soda, and before you know it, you're in about $40. So
that's all free to me. So
well, there you go. So
the only benefit of working there.
Yeah. That's about it. So we did have a bunch of other listener questions come in, and I did get a little bit of flack, and rightfully so, for missing some. So I'm going to answer these in rapid fire, and Andy can jump in when he wants. So let's see here. Thoughts on the ending of the XFL? Did the current global issue have a hand in it, or was it just inevitable? Overall thoughts. So I did want to say this about the XFL. I liked it. I was watching it every weekend. I liked their presentation. I liked the interviews on the sideline. I liked some of the outside of the box ideas that they have for presentation. But unfortunately, I'm on the side of, I think, what's going on right now in the world inevitably led to them failing. I think they would have continued for at least a second season otherwise. But I'm going to miss it. They did good. Andy, thoughts on the XFL?
Don't care. I didn't watch a single game.
It really not one?
Nope, not a single one.
Oh my goodness. So next question here, again from Ruben Jim, asks, Tom Brady's playing golf this week. Are the Bucks on edge that he might injure himself? What if he gets hurt? Then what? Are you worried about him? Old, brittle man going out to play a round of golf could break. Then he wouldn't be able to play football next year. I think Tom Brady... This one made me laugh. Because, like, Bobby, I love you, man. But Tom Brady gets hit hard multiple times a year by, like, defensive linemen. They're like, what? 240 to 330, 350 pounds. Like, these guys hit him all the time. Him playing golf, I don't care. I don't think he's going to get injured. You know?
Was he a bubble boy?
I mean, that's kind of how I look at it, is like, he took hits last year, and he was a year younger. And as someone who has played golf on a competitive level, right? And when I say competitive level, I'm talking about high school level, but I've played on a competitive level. You know, you wake up the next morning, you're a little bit sore, you know, because swinging a golf club full force, you know, it's an athletic event. But I don't know that it's something that you would really worry about an NFL player being injured by playing golf.
I would assume that he's been golfing his entire career.
You know, you're probably right. You're probably right. I mean...
Oh, God. Bo Jackson's playing baseball. He might get hurt.
So, I know this probably isn't a comparison a lot of people are going to like, but Tony Romo did play golf his entire career. And after he retired, he became a Pro-Am player. And I want to say Tony Romo golfs with a handicap of like 2. Like, he is a very good golfer. And I can't recall a time where Tony Romo, like, missed a game because of golfing. So, I'm not worried. In fact, I would say I'd rather Tom Brady golf now than not golf, because you know, a lot of guys aren't working out. You know, they're not able to. So good for him. Get out there, be active. So that's it for the listener questions this week. I think I covered them all.
Who knows?
Well,
no way to fact check.
Sorry about
next topic. Moving on to entertainment. We go to Paper Mario: The Origami King, announced release date July 17th, 2020. Alexander, are you as hyped as I am for Paper Mario: The Origami King?
I am. Well, let me start off by asking, are you hyped up about it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thousand Year Door is one of the best games ever made.
It is. It's great, isn't it? It's an amazing game. Yeah, it's an amazing game. Paper Mario is a series that I've always cherished. It's great.
You know, one podcast, I don't know which number, maybe someone will know. You said you were going to stream Paper Mario, the first one.
No.
And you never did.
Super Mario RPG.
Oh, yeah, Super Mario RPG.
On the SNES, which led to Paper Mario.
Yeah.
But, you know, I might do it. I don't know. I might do it. But Paper Mario: The Origami King looks really good. They showed a little bit of gameplay. Just a little bit. Yeah. And it seemed to kind of, I guess, put to rest some of the fears that people had. So like, the fears that I saw people having on Twitter was that they would go away from the traditional Paper Mario like, I guess, gameplay standard of turn-based, kind of RPG light. It's not like a hardcore turn-based RPG, but it's still, turn-based RPG, kind of light-hearted, and easy to pick up and play, difficult to master. And this doesn't seem to stray from the gameplay videos, so I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. Are you going to buy it day one, Andy?
Yeah. Are you surprised by the announcement being so close to the release date?
Yeah. It's not very Nintendo-like.
It's just like, blam, game's coming out 2 months from now.
Nintendo usually, they always, hey, almost to a detriment, right?
Yeah, like Metro Prime 4.
Yeah, they'll announce it and you're like, oh, God, I can't believe I have to wait that long. This was kind of cool. And from what I saw on, people's reactions on Twitter were trending, right? So I saw the announcement. I saw what was trending on Twitter. I clicked on the hashtag, and I'm just kind of scrolling through people's responses. And a lot of the responses were overwhelmingly positive, like, oh my God, I can't believe I don't have to wait this long. Usually I have to wait a year or a year and a half for a Nintendo game to come out after it's announced, especially if you're thinking of Zelda or a traditional Mario game. Metroid is a good example. Metroid's probably the worst example, like you said, because
it got announced with the Switch, and still nothing else has came out about it.
It's a shame, because Metroid is so good, dude. It's such a great series, and you could tell so many good stories, and you could have so many great games from it. And the proof is in the pudding. They made Metroid Prime 1 and 2 on GameCube. They were great sellers. They made multiple games on Game Boy, and then later on the GBA and DS, and those all sold well. It's weird, why haven't we gotten Metroid Prime 4? Just makes no sense.
It's been announced.
But it should be
just
out by now.
Final Fantasy VII Remake's an example of that. It was announced a long time ago.
Final Fantasy VII Remake is a really great example of a game that's been in development hell for a long time. So originally, it was not announced, but it was teased with the announcement of the PlayStation 3.
Yeah. In 2006.
Yeah, 2006, 2005-ish. And I remember everybody just thinking, as you would. It was the first thing they showed when they showed the PlayStation 3. Or one of the first things they showed.
Same thing with Metro Prime 4.
Exactly. And, people thought, well, we're going to get this Final Fantasy VII Remake on PlayStation 3 either at launch or in the first year that it comes out. Never came out on PlayStation 3, and then it comes out on PlayStation 4.
At the end of the PlayStation 4 cycle.
Yeah, exactly. So, it comes out in 2020, basically 14 years after it was originally teased. So I think it's a little bit of a disservice to fans. Kingdom Hearts 3 is another really good example. Not to pick on Square, but
Kingdom Hearts 2.6342.
Yeah, all those little side games, they were good. They kept people engaged in the series, and they were good for what they were. But I'll always think it's kind of a travesty that Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2005, and then 3 comes out in 2019. That's crazy. But
yeah.
Anyway, Paper Mario looks good.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I said I'm no longer a gamer, whatever, or 2 weeks ago, something like that. But the next 2 months, there's 3 games I'm kind of hyped for. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, rehydrated.
I keep getting ads for that.
Destroy All Humans remake.
Yeah.
And then the Paper Mario.
That Destroy All Humans remake looks really good.
Comes out, I think, a week after Paper Mario.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really good. The first game was, for its time...
I mean, it's a remake of the first one. So.
Yeah, I felt like it was ahead of its time, the first one. And then, obviously they're remaking it. It's going to be better.
Never played it.
It's good, dude. It's worth playing at least once. And
I'm playing the remake, so.
There's not really anything out there like it.
And hopefully, just like The Lion King and Aladdin, it's better than the original.
Oh, no. Let's not get into that. The Disney fans will be like, oh, we love Disney with my annual pass. Like, Andy, screw you.
Yeah, I'm just an idiot that...
Yeah, those live-action remakes are amazing.
Shawshank is just a dumb prison movie. The Taxi Driver is just a guy driving a taxi around. Doesn't do anything the entire time.
2001: A Space Odyssey? Who cares about space?
What is this? Is some monkeys and then space? Like,
yeah, I want to hear about
that.
I want to hear about the Lion King in live action.
Completely original story that isn't stolen from Simba the White Lion. Oh.
Yeah. So,
was it something of the White Lion? I don't know what it's called.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know exactly what it is. Anyway, speaking of movies...
Kimba the White Lion, sorry.
Kimba the White Lion. Speaking of film and movies, moving into our next segment here, DCD Film Club. My pick this week, and I picked a treat for all of you.
Yeah.
And that's 2000s action space opera saga, if you will, starring John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker.
Shakespearean.
Written by L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology. From 2000, Battlefield Earth. So this was definitely not my first time seeing this. And I have a lot of thoughts on this film. But I want to get Andy's take first, because it's my pick. And I always like to hear Andy's take. Andy, you have the floor.
It's fantastic. The greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Better than that Taxi Driver movie. It's shot like a TV show, in which what I mean is like the transitions never stop. The wipe away transition, it never gets old. Every time you're like, whoa, no way. Get real. I can't believe that happened. The CGI, phenomenal. Still the best CGI ever made. The editing, oh, great. I can't find a single YouTube video that's better editing than this movie. I'm obviously being sarcastic. The plot is retarded. I'm gonna get canceled for saying that word. One thing I noticed, why do the aliens look gross? That makes no sense. If they're coming to this planet and they're like, oh, this planet looks disgusting, but the aliens themselves look disgusting.
Well, they look gross to you.
No, hold on. In like, sure, like they live. the alien looks weird, but doesn't look like dirty. And like, what's another example of an alien? I don't know, like an alien. The alien's kind of clean. It's not like covered in dirt and doesn't brush its teeth. I don't know. I found that really weird that they took that route. The dreads I won't question, but best decision they made the entire movie. Forrest Whitaker in this movie plays the exact same character he does in a movie from 1999 called Ghost Dog.
He does.
Which that movie was great, and this kind of might have ruined it.
No.
Might have slightly ruined it because Forrest Whitaker literally plays the exact character that he played in Ghost Dog. But yeah, that's it. That's all. The movie's great. Every single aspect of the movie is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, the sarcasm is real.
What do you mean?
I know you didn't think this movie was great.
10 out of 10.
Letterboxd would disagree with that. So
yeah, but for what was the movie? Every Christmas Has Your Story, I gave that a 10 out of 10, but I actually gave it a 1 on the podcast. So it's the flip version of that, you know. I gave it a 1 on Letterboxd, but really, it's to hide the fact that I loved it so much.
Okay, so
I definitely didn't think it was a piece of crap.
Okay, so we're trolling now, which is fine, because that will mean that my picks will continue to have a same theme.
My favorite movies of all time, Brokeback Mountain and Midnight Cowboy.
No. You won't be let off.
My two favorite movies of all time.
You won't be let off this easily, sir, because I see your sarcasm, and
I have a trick up my sleeve.
I know you do.
We're gonna go down the Yorgo Lanthimos,
yeah,
and all the Quentin Tarantinos, and all the Darren Aronofskys.
Ooh,
this will never end.
This will never end.
A war has been started.
You know everything I hate. Like, it's so great. Like, I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
I'll recommend a Kanye album next.
Because you said Tarantino, and I'm like, there's a couple good ones in there. And then you said Aronofsky, and I'm like, ugh. We already covered The Fountain, and
we got Mother to cover. We got Pie. We got The Wrestler.
So Black Swan's good, but everything else, I'm not gonna get into it. I could write a book, but I'm not a fan, and I think that Aronofsky's way too formulaic as a writer and as a director, and I think that
just like The Fountain before someone tweets something at us.
Well, no, I mean that's fine too. I mean, but my thing with Aronofsky is I just feel like he's way too formulaic and predictable. I had another point, but I forgot it. Andy said something, and I just totally forgot. But like,
sorry.
No,
Don't do it again.
No, it's not that, dude. It's just I really felt like I had something valid to say about Aronofsky, but then that's what it was. I'm sorry, Andy. I apologize. I feel like Aronofsky lets his personal beliefs transcend too much into his art, and it interferes with the underlying message. So, for example, I really hate scalloped potatoes. So if I was to make a movie on potatoes, and in that movie I like really, really made a point to say scalloped potatoes are garbage, you go, oh man, this guy really hates scalloped potatoes. You know, like I understand what he's going for with this potato movie, but like I'm leaving and I'm like, why is this guy so opposed to scalloped potatoes? That's Aronofsky in a nutshell. His complete like dogmatic belief or non-belief, if you will, in atheism transcends into his art into to a point where I think it's detrimental. Like everything he does, like it's like this almost it's like this swan song to atheism, and I can't stand it. But that's me as a believer. And I realize that some people will be listening out there and say, well, Alex, you're an idiot for saying that, and Aronofsky's a brilliant person. Now, Battlefield Earth, on to real brilliance. So, this film is a cinematic imagining of L. Ron Hubbard's best-selling novel of, Battlefield Earth. Tale from the year 3000. And he also started Scientology. But this has nothing to do with Scientology. A lot of people seem to associate this with Scientology, but it has nothing to do with it. Andy, go ahead.
You reminded me
Yeah.
of a criticism of this movie.
Okay.
So these aliens come. They destroy the human race.
Yes.
In 45 minutes or whatever.
9 minutes.
9 minutes. All right. So they come and destroy the humans. But then the humans with the same technology that the humans that lost in 9 minutes used somehow won. What is that? That doesn't make any sense. How did we lose in the first place? Did we beat them later in the movie? What do you mean? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. They wrote a plot hole in the movie.
Andy, you aren't being trained to conquer galaxies. So
they use the same technology that wiped out and demolished all the aliens. It doesn't make any sense. How'd they lose in 9 minutes? It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's great. I can't believe we're covering it on this podcast.
You picked it. What do you mean you can't believe it?
I just can't believe we've gotten to this point.
And I can't believe that you like this movie. There's not a single aspect of this movie that's good in any way.
So hear me out. So from a script writing standpoint, from a screenplay standpoint, it has a lot of flaws. It really does. I mean, I haven't read the novel all the way through, but I would assume it's very similar in terms of there's a lot of plot holes. Andy pointed out one of probably 100. Like, I mean, we could go on for days about the plot holes in this film and the screenplay itself. And Andy also pointed out the CGI coming across as really dated. I mean, they just didn't have a budget for this film. The reason I like it is John Travolta's performance, I think, just jumps off the page. I love his delivery. It's borderline Shakespearean. I want more of him. Like, when I watch the film, I want more Travolta and less of every other character. Forrest Whitaker is also actually a pretty good character. He plays a good role.
I just say it's just the exact same character he played in a movie a year before.
No, I'm not even saying that you said it was bad. I just think that I was just independently saying I think he did well. Barry Pepper plays a pretty good protagonist role. Everybody else is kind of just there. But I like why I like this film, as bad as it is it tells an original story. There's nothing out there that tells a story as crazy as this film does. And it's interesting. And then 2, you have great performances, mostly by Travolta, but also by Forrest Whitaker and Barry Pepper, right? But Travolta's performance jumps off the page. His delivery had me cracking up and wanting more of him. And I loved it. It was great. I mean, even in the action scenes, like he kicks in a door and he's like, "Am I interrupting something?" You know, he's so good. He's great. I love Turtle. I love the Turtle character. I was rooting for him to win. I wanted humanity to be completely annihilated for Turtle because I love the character that much. He's so good. And I'm sad at the end, you know. Turtle, he doesn't win. He
doesn't die though.
He doesn't die. There might be a sequel.
There might be a sequel where
There's
a reverse where Turtle escapes and how the humans defeated them in 9 minutes. And
yeah, I mean, it could happen.
You thought of something I thought about while watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is the story that like 9-year-olds make on the playground.
No.
Whenever they're playing.
No,
it's like the exact same thing as like a bunch of kids playing on the playground would make.
It's not that bad. I mean, like, and
I didn't say that was a criticism. You're just taking it as a negative connotation.
9-year-olds don't make great stories, and this isn't a 9-year-old story.
How do you know?
They just
9-year-olds are the best abstract artists ever, according to a documentary.
They're still learning to spell their name. Like, seriously.
Not at 9. I feel like at 9 they can spell. Give 9-year-old a little credit. Give little Timmy a little credit.
Just messing around, dude. But like, seriously, I love it for as it's bad. Objectively, it's bad, but there's some really
objective with art.
Wait, what?
You can't be objective with art. To quote yourself. To quote you.
Oh, okay. So we're going into that. Okay.
I'm not saying that's a bad statement.
I see what you're saying. I can't even believe that you saw that tweet, but when I tweeted it, I was trying to say, like,
you made a point. Like, it is true. You can't be 100% when just talking about art.
No, you can't be objective.
This movie, as an example, I clearly dislike it, and you clearly like it.
I like aspects of it. I think the script. So I want to really quickly sum it up here because I don't want everybody to think that I'm like hogging the podcast by talking too much about this film. But I think that on the most, like, holistically, the acting is terrible other than Barry Pepper, John Travolta, and Forrest Whitaker. Everybody else that acts in it, it's not great. The cinematography, it has its moments. There are moments where the cinematography is great, but then there are also moments where the cinematography is awful. And it's like, there's not a lot of in between. And like, that's what makes me confused about this film. Like, there's moments where I see the cinematography and I go, wow, I see what they were going for with the angled shot, right? But then
I just kind of ignored that.
Well, they go overboard with it, right?
Yeah, like overboard everything.
Yeah, well, there you go. But there's points where the angled shot works, like the cinematography. So, for example, the cinematography of the scene where John Travolta's in the bar and he's talking about, I was being trained to conquer galaxies. Like, that's a great scene. It's memorable. It's delivered well. It might come across to some people as a little bit over the top, but the delivery is supposed to be almost Shakespearean, right? And that's what he was going for, and it's successful. And it looks good. That shot looks good. But then there's shots where, like, Barry Pepper's riding on a horse and it's angled, and you're like, and then it'll cut, and the angle goes from like this to this. And you have to be watching the video version of the podcast to know what I'm talking about. But it basically goes from like a 30-degree angle to a 45-degree angle. And it's ridiculous, right? And then there's some points where it goes from a 30-degree angle to a 120-degree angle, and it switches perspective, and it's jarring to the viewer. And I think those are points where the cinematography doesn't work. But then I go back to that bar scene with Travolta. It works. It works. Him and Whitaker at that bar. It's good cinematography. It works.
To go back to the horse scene, whenever he's talking to his love interest, the editing in that scene is worse than most YouTube videos.
It's pretty bad.
It's just like the second they stop talking, cuts to the other person.
Yeah,
it's awful. It's hard to explain without like showing you.
Nah, you have to watch it. But I you know, what's funny is you watch it and you know exactly what Andy's talking about. Like, it's, I don't know, man. Like, it makes me feel conflicted because there's a lot of good in the cinematography.
Breaking news.
But it's overwhelmed by a lot of the bad. The screenplay is flawed. John Travolta, I feel, again, performs well. Whitaker performs well. Barry Pepper performs well. CGI was really campy, especially nowadays by today's standards. It's really bad. It doesn't hold up well. But I think everybody should see this at least once. It's that weird, and it shows you what not to do with a film. And Travolta's performance, I think, is the one redeeming quality throughout all of it. So I gave this one a 4 out of 10, but please watch it. It's good.
You gave it a higher rating than Freddy Got Fingered.
Because there's more. Travolta's performance it's transcendent.
Tom Green and Rip Thorne from Freddy Got Fingered.
So you know what? A lot of people always talk about John Travolta and they go, oh man, you know, Pulp Fiction, it's my favorite performance with him. This.
The Fanatic, Gotti.
No, I'm going to take this. And here's why. He polished this turd. And I watched this film, by the way, with my father-in-law, and he loved it. He thought Turl was hilarious.
I don't know. Maybe I'll show it to my stepdad.
There you go. That's our test. Bring him on the podcast.
1 out of 10.
Oh,
big surprise.
You hate everything, Andy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no one else agrees with me that this movie's a complete pile of garbage.
Sphinx agrees with you. Sphinx, I love you, but you agree with Andy on everything, pretty much. So,
let's see.
His comment was
every single person.
The only good thing on this.
Every single person I followed Letterboxd gave it a 1 star.
Well, I hate them all. Yeah. I hate them all.
You hate Chris Stuckman, Ralph the Movie Maker, and Ian West.
I'm just joking.
All film critics.
I don't hate you, but Turl was amazing. And you know what, Sphinx?
Chucky Milk.
Sphinx made me laugh because he was like, the only good part about this movie was I knew when it was over, my ribs were done.
No, the funny part from that conversation was
made me laugh.
The after that, he's like, come to think of it, Brokeback Mountain and Midnight Cowboy are my 2 favorite film club picks. Now that I think back, now that I look back, they are my favorites.
Well, you know what? I love Battlefield Earth. I think it's good, and it's one of those so bad it's good.
Is smoke a bowl before you watch this. You might have a decent time.
It'll throw you off so hard.
I wanted to. I normally watch everything we do sober, and I was like, man, I want to get stoned out of my mind before I watch this.
I
but
watched
unfortunately, I
this
didn't.
stone sober with my father-in-law, and we died.
You were
laughing.
sober. Maybe he was like, you weren't looking. He popped an edible.
Nah, not Walt. Not Walt. He wouldn't do that.
Oh, Walt. I didn't realize you're talking about Walt.
Yeah, it's my
Great guy.
father-in-law.
I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
I'm a bit tipsy right now.
Well,
Walt's a great guy.
That's Battlefield Earth. I gave it a 4 out of 10. Andy gave it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
What's our pick for next week?
The favorite, but directed by Yorgos Lanthimos.
Well,
No,
the punishment will continue.
I'm kidding. This week's pick is by Daniel from The Reasons I'm Broke.
I think he picked the Cable Guy.
He did pick the Cable Guy.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That is a great pick. That is a great
he
pick.
also said that I would hate it. But the Cable Guy...
We shall see. Have you ever seen the Cable Guy?
No.
No. That surprises me.
It's on Crackle for free with ads. You want to check that out. It's on Vudu for $2.99, Amazon Prime for $2.99, YouTube, iTunes, and Google Play for $3.99. And for Alexander, you can buy it on Vudu for $14.
I probably will buy it on something, but I don't know what.
Directed by Ben Stiller.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. You mentioned Ben Stiller, but a lot of people don't know this. Ben Stiller directed quite a few films.
Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, before he was starring in movies, in comedies, he was directing quite a few. He also had a show on Comedy Central. I think it was on Comedy Central. The Ben Stiller show that was short-lived, but it was pretty much him and like Janine Garofalo and some other people.
Yeah, just like previous picks, guys that have their own show named after them. Tom Green Show, the movie that we watched that week, was fantastic. 10 out of 10.
So the Cable Guy is... I don't want to ruin it for anybody, and I would encourage anybody who hasn't already seen it to go out there and see it. But it's a bit of a dark comedy, but
I'm aware of it though. Yeah,
but it's good, and there's a lot of as much as it's a dark comedy, there's a lot of Jim Carrey lighthearted slapstick moments that work and
it made Sonic great.
Yeah, so it'll be a good one. So Andy will probably take a big steamy dump on it.
For my ExpressVPN users, it's on Mexican Netflix.
It's on Mexican Netflix, really?
Yeah, for my ExpressVPNers.
Well, there you go, man. Shoot, we should get a sponsorship through ExpressVPN. Come on, man. ExpressVPN DMs are wide open.
Yeah,
wide open.
You might have to outbid Coke Zero for the main sponsor.
I know. I'm drinking a Coke Zero tonight, so there we go. Anyway, that is it, because we don't have any sports topics this week. So
I mean, I can throw you one.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we have about 6 minutes left before we hit an hour.
All right.
Mount Rushmore of the NFL, I guess.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, Lawrence Taylor, ooh, this last one's hard.
Yeah?
Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
I'm going to go Jerry Rice, Emmitt Smith, Lawrence Taylor, Joe Montana, yeah.
Peyton Manning.
Good pick. Almost went with him. Over Montana.
Lawrence Taylor. You got to pick.
You gotta have Lawrence Taylor.
Let's go with Deion Sanders.
Yeah. So
and Jerry Rice, obviously.
Yeah, a Mount Rushmore for NFL is really tough. And I think we've picked our all-time teams on both sides of the field.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah. And to pick, so we all know it's 11 guys on each side of the field. So to pick 4 out of 22, not only is it hard to pick one guy per position, it's hard to pare down to just 4 people, period. Because there's so many guys that I would want to put on that Mount Rushmore, like Deion Sanders. Obviously, a guy that I would want to put on there. Dan Marino. Yeah, that's the guy that jumps Brady. Out to me. Yeah, as a quarterback. Oh, geez. That's the guy that jumps out to me as a quarterback, or Tom Brady. It's another one. Like,
what would be the Mount Rushmore of current NFL players?
I feel like you got to go Brady at QB. And I think you have to. So if I'm doing current players, I'm probably gonna go. I'm probably gonna lean towards older guys that have had a substantial career. Yeah. So I would go Brady, Larry Fitzgerald, a chronically underrated player. Aaron Donald. I gotta put Aaron Donald on. Oh my God, how could you not? And I want to pick one of them. I want to do 2 offense, 2 defense, and I'm trying to think. You know what? I'm going to go J.J. Watt. Because I can't think of a more dominant player that I've seen other than Aaron Donald, obviously, but J.J. Watt when he's healthy. Oh, my God.
Yeah, Aaron Donald. Russell Wilson.
Good pick.
Dang.
Because if I wasn't going to go Tom Brady, I was going to go Russell Wilson. That's another great one. Again, it's hard to narrow it down to 4.
I'm leaning towards Khalil Mack, but I'm not for sure yet.
Eli
JJ Watt
Apple.
is a great pick. Yeah, Eli Apple. Or Bobby Wagner.
Vernon
maybe.
Hargraves. Ooh, Bobby Wagner. That's a good one. You know what? In retrospect, I'm going to go back. I'm going to take out J.J. Watt on mine. I'm going to put Wagner in there.
Yeah. I would there's people that just retired that Kuechly would make the list. That just retired. Joe Staley Joe Thomas would make the list.
Yeah, I would put Kuechly on there. This is crazy. It's so hard to choose between these 2. I love Wagner, but I feel like Kuechly brought more to the Panthers than Wagner brought to the Seahawks, and that's not that's saying a lot because Wagner brings a ton. So I would probably put Kuechly ahead of that, just barely.
Oh, and Darren Sproles is obviously on there.
It's just so for example, if you ask me who's the best tight end ever, I would say Tony Gonzalez. And then somebody might say Rob Gronkowski. And I would say, well, I respect the hell out of everything Rob Gronkowski has brought to the position, but nobody's done it better than Tony Gonzalez. And before him, it was Shannon Sharp. Tony Gonzalez was ridiculous. He wasn't even a tight end. He was a receiver in a way. Like, and Gronk, like, when his career is over, I think he'll be right up there with Tony
His career is over.
Gonzalez.
Oh wait,
It's
he
not
came
over
back.
yet.
He's back.
Not
Yeah, he's
over
back.
yet. He's a Buccaneer, baby.
He's now has the record for longest 24/7 champion of all time.
He does. Yeah, I think he's at 46 days. But yeah, you know, I do like to kind of lean towards the guys in the league who have done it for a longer time and have put up those stats. And I know some people would say that's not the right way to go. You know, like
now, like George Kittle's obviously the best tight end in the league, but he's only done it for 2 seasons.
Yeah, but like right now, like if we're talking about like right here, right now, in this instant, George Kittle is the best tight end in the league. Like Kelsey's close-ish.
Yeah.
But if we were doing a fantasy draft, right? And you go, Alex, pick a tight end. I'm going Kittle or Gronk. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kelsey's good, but like last year, and by the way, we don't know what Gronk's going to look like next year, right?
Yeah,
last year, George Kittle was the best tight end in the league. It wasn't even close. Not even close.
Yeah, he had the best PFF rating ever amongst any position for a season PFF rating.
And it's saying a lot. There were some really good performances last year. Like Kelsey had a good year. Cameron Brate had a good year. Eric Ebron had a sneaky good year last year at tight end. So there were some really great performances. But George Kittle, in my opinion, until Emmanuel Sanders came along, was really what made that 49ers passing offense work.
Yeah.
So
what do you think happens to OJ Howard? I don't think we've talked about this in the podcast.
So I think OJ Howard sits, and I think he provides depth, because if the Bucs were going to move any tight end, I think they'd move Brate before Howard.
Interesting.
They could cut Howard. I think they're going to keep him for depth. And here's why I think keeping him for depth is a good idea, because Tom Brady loves dual tight end sets.
Yeah.
He always has. Gronk, as good as he is, has struggled with injuries. He's coming back.
You also don't know if he's still good. You have zero idea if he's going to come back and be the Gronk of old.
Exactly. So if they need another tight end, hey, OJ Howard, how you doing? Yeah. He doesn't cost that much either.
I just think it's kind of... He's in a very unfortunate position. He's a very skilled tight end and one of the best in the league, but he's just in a super unfortunate position.
So hear me out on this. Let's say the Bucs do well up until the trade deadline. He's trade bait.
Yeah.
They could use him to maybe get a player.
Like a third or fourth or fifth or even a player.
No.
Player deals are just so rare.
Yeah, but I would tell you right now, they would use him to get a player on defense, specifically in the secondary. If they could get a good corner or a good safety for OJ Howard, the front seven's great. But that back four, it's kind of rough, bro. It's kind of rough.
My favorite game of the Bucs is the game against the Texans. The defense tried so hard to win that game. They destroyed Deshaun Watson, but Jameis Winston would not stop throwing picks.
He's got to, Jameis Winston, he's got to yank, losing out of the jaws of victory. Like, he would find a way to lose a game. That's just who he was. And I hope it works out for him in New Orleans. And I think it might do him some good to kind of sit behind Drew Brees
And get
and
LASIK, so
and Taysom Hill. And maybe eventually he goes somewhere else and does well, but
well, if he goes back to the Bucks,
no, it won't.
what
go
if, like,
back
in the
to
grand
Bucs.
scheme of thing, like Tom Brady retires, Jameis Winston's back and his interception problem's gone, but he's the same old gunslinging Jameis Winston that could throw up like 5,700 yards in the season and break the record?
No,
No,
that ship has sailed.
but the GM loves him so much, allegedly.
He does, but it's over. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know, like it reminds me of a relationship that I had personally where 80% of the time the relationship was good, but there was that 20% of the time where the relationship was terrible. And I got to a point, and this person that I was with got to a point where we realized, like, it's never gonna work. You know, it's over. Like, you know, we tried and we tried and we tried, and it just never worked. And I think that's how it is with Winston. And I think it's good for him to get a change of scenery. I just don't see him coming back. Honestly,
have him or
I
Trubisky?
think. Oh, wait, what?
Would you rather have him or Trubisky?
Trubisky. Because I think with Trubisky, a change of scenery would do him some good too. I think for Winston, the reality is he'll end up somewhere new.
Yeah.
Where he won't have the baggage, and he'll be able to start anew, and he'll do well. Because
like Marco Fultz.
Exactly like that. Or, like, look at Brad Johnson, a guy who came to Tampa Bay, right? Washington didn't want him. They didn't want to pay him. Tampa Bay signs him. He has a great year at Tampa Bay. Next year he wins the Super Bowl. You know, he needed a change of scenery. He wouldn't have won a Super Bowl in Washington had he stayed there. And I feel like that's kind of Jameis Winston's, fate. Like, go somewhere else and he can do well. He's talented as hell. His off-field behavior is deplorable, but he's talented as hell.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
Do you use Johnson baby products?
I'm sure there's one in my bathroom.
Well, breaking news.
What's that?
Johnson's baby powder has been banned in the United States.
Wait, why?
It says Johnson's baby powder will no longer be sold in the U.S. and Canada after thousands of lawsuits claiming the talc-based product has caused cancer and led to a decline in sales. It's been officially banned in the United States.
Wow, that's been... Because I do know what you're talking about, where the talc has been under fire, and J&J took a massive hit on their stock when that came out, but didn't know it got banned. So
Just did, like an hour ago.
Wow. Pretty crazy.
It's DC Podcast, Alex.
Yeah, that's
out.
DCD 81. As always, want to remind you guys, t-shirt link in the description. If you buy one, we get somewhere between $2 to $6 or $8. It depends on what price you buy it at. But if you do buy one, we'd love for you to tweet us. And just tweet us a picture of you wearing the shirt, or even just a picture of the shirt itself. We'd love to see it. In addition, you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/DCD podcast. Go on there. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You get early access to the show, all kinds of other great benefits. And I want to thank our current Patreons. We have Dumb as Sphinx in the egg tier. And then we have Jared, Daniel, Bobby, and Drake in the gold tier. So thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. At this point, You guys are paying for our podcast hosting, and we were able to take a little bit of money and put it into advertising to try and get some more listeners on the show. So definitely thank you guys for that, and especially in today's, as all the emails say, in today's uncertain times, you know, we thank you for your patronage. So thank you for that. And if you can't support us monetarily, you can do a couple things, a few things actually. You can go to iTunes, leave us a review on there, helps us get out to more listeners. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, and finally, you can tell a friend about the show. That's probably the best thing you can do. Just tell them about DCD. Tell them to like download every episode. Maybe go to the Apple Store and tell people there, like, hey, this is the best podcast on the internet. Download it with your new iPhone. Whatever. Just tell a friend about the show. And yeah, go to deadchannelduo.com. And you can find us on every location that we are publishing to each week. We're on pretty much everything. That's it. So, Andy, anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No. Battlefield Earth. Great movie. 10 out of 10. I lied the whole time. I loved it. Goodbye.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.